Hey everybody, you're listening to the Picky Fingers Banjo Podcast. I'm your host, Keith Billik. This is the second part in the conversation with Arlen Bont of Greensky Bluegrass. If you missed the first part, you may want to go check out that previous episode to get caught up in the conversation. But I introduced him last time, and we talked about all things banjo and all things Greensky. So I won't waste any more time. I know you're wanting to get back to listen to the rest of that interview, but I will waste just a little bit more of your time to remind you to email me at pickyfingersbanjopodcast@gmail.com with any comments or questions about the podcast. Other than that, here it is. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
If you didn't know us since the very beginning, we actually were a one mic acoustic bluegrass band. For when we first our inception was through that, That's how we won the Telluride Band Contest, is because we worked the mic. We were about 4 inches closer to the microphone than any other band in that contest, and that's the secret right there. Why? Because we were louder than any other band in the contest. The song selection too. Like, it has to be right. Like, obviously we are. Obviously, for us, it was right, because see where we've come since then. And it's not like that for everybody.
Was that the pivotal moment for you guys? Did you feel like that was the biggest difference in terms of going from a band that was just kind of working the bars to a band that was now being taken seriously? It was getting good bookings.
It was definitely from the validation, like the fact that we won this, and it was like, okay, so we actually are pretty good. All right. We are doing something. Okay.
Gave you some confidence.
Gave us some confidence.
That's great.
Like we were doing something. Yeah.
Yeah, from my perspective, I heard that you guys won the Telluride Band Competition, and I'm really proud of the hometown guys. Like, wow, that's really impressive. And then the next thing I'm hearing, you guys are opening for all sorts of bands, opening up at Red Rocks, and the list goes on. And
then we're selling out Red Rocks.
It just never ceases to amaze me. Every time I check in on you guys, there's something bigger and better.
We're playing Fuji Rock in Japan this summer.
That is insane.
It's nuts. Oh man,
how do you guys do that? You just have good management.
I mean, you're in my practice room. I mean, are you inspired? Does this make you want to practice?
Anything makes me want to practice.
So you can come into this room at any time of the day and just close that door like we just did. This is my space.
Yeah.
This thing I'm sitting on is from 1850s. This is like a pre-Civil War.
Pre-Civil War.
Yeah. This has been around forever. Like the juju off this, and it's the perfect height. And the fact that it's got like wide, it's like a love seat. There's no arms on it, so you can play any instrument and not bang it up. And I know, and surrounded by instruments, dude. It's like I know, when you're doing as long as I have, you have to be able to. Yeah, this is from like 1863. And so like I love it, and it's a family piece, but it's also one of those things where like the vibe is everything. I mean, I got the instruments around me. I've got this trophy case full of heady achievements and heady crystals and awesome. Look at that Greensky photo. Like, look at that Greensky photo. You see that one right there? The one with like the costumes, dude. That one's hilarious. That photo's priceless, right?
That is fantastic. Yes. Yeah, it's one of those old-timey theme park things where everyone dresses up as Civil War generals and bandits from the Wild West. Yeah, that's fantastic.
And all my Red Rocks trophies and yada, yada, yada.
So let's get into nuts and bolts here, man. Your banjo.
This is my number one banjo.
And we're kind of doing a smile and wink because no one would ever recognize it. And I'll never out you for this, but I could have said something about how you texted me yesterday saying that you left all your banjos in the recording studio and wouldn't have them for the podcast recording, and could you borrow mine?
Yeah,
I could have said that and embarrassed you on this podcast.
I really just wanted to borrow your banjo. That was the one thing I was really...
All you had to do was ask,
man. This banjo's sweet, dude.
I appreciate that. I really like it.
How much you want for it?
Maybe a few of these heady crystals and Red Rocks trophies.
All right, we could talk.
Okay. So let's pretend this was one of your instruments. What are you playing these days?
Okay, so my number one that I play on the gold one that I play on stage, his name is Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
It says Deco on the peg head.
Okay.
Because the inlay job on it is built by Rock Bartley here in Kalamazoo. Yeah. So this story connects from the Great Lakes Grass.
Yeah.
It's so like when he built the banjo, he thought the inlay job was very Art Deco, so he did like the D'Angelico or whatever the guitars,
right.
Like little like fountain kind of peg head, and then said he thought put Deco on it because it looks Art Deco, you know. Rock. Anyways, so I'm holding the the Goldie Hawn right now. So it's got like the art.
Did you name it Goldie Hawn or did Rock?
Actually, Anders named it Goldie Hawn. He was like, you should name it Goldie Hawn. I'm like, yeah, I should name it Goldie Hawn.
So is the other one's named Kurt Russell?
No. I think the other one's name is it's kind of unnamed. It's called the Robinson is what it's called because it's the Robinson. It's always been the Robinson.
Okay, so tell me more about. We'll get to the Robinson.
We'll get to Robinson like after this, but
Goldie Hawn is a top tension, right?
Goldie Hawn is a top tension. It's gold plated. It's original Gibson top tension parts, and it's hand engraved by some guy I can't remember. But the whole thing is like the
You're talking the metal is engraved?
The metal is engraved, yeah. The rim, the tone ring, and the flange is all engraved by the same dude. I feel he's like kind of like a famous engraver. I should have gotten information from Rock. Okay. Anyways, it's built from a piece of mahogany. This is the cool part. That Rock was doing. He's like a fine woodworker, and
right. He built the bar at
at Bell's. Yes, yeah. All the woodwork at Bell's he did. He was doing this remodel on this Victorian house and found this redoing this the moldings on this door and realized that the header in this door jamb was a quarter sawn piece of mahogany from like the 1800s.
That's just a dream find for luthier.
It's like from like late 1800s. And so he had part of it made into the resonator
for Goldie Hawn.
For Goldie Hawn, and he spent to I think Jim Cox. Is the guy that does the resonators? Yeah. He sent to Jim Cox. He made the resonator for it, and then he made the neck out of the same piece of mahogany, and then had Jim Cox do an old school 3-ply maple rim for it, and then fit it to a Burlisle. Who's the Burlisle tone ring?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Jim Burlisle, is that the guy?
Yeah.
Jim Burlisle, the guy that went blind. Like, it's got a Burlisle.
Oh, I don't know that, but...
Okay, so...
Jim Burlisle is the guy who makes tone rings.
I think it's Jim Burlisle, right? Okay, so Jim Burlisle, I think he went blind from working with metals.
Wow.
But like these Burlisle tone rings are like...
They're very sought after.
Very sought after, and the main secret to this whole banjo, besides the fact that it is made from mahogany that's like as old as this chair that I'm sitting in, has a Jim Burlisle tone ring in it, and
real high quality ingredients.
And Jim Burlisle never plated or engraved any of his tone rings. This is like probably the only plated and engraved Jim Burlisle tone ring. And for all you people out there listening, if you come across a Burlisle tone ring, feel free to let me know.
In the market?
Yeah, I'm always in the market for a Burlisle tone ring. As should you be if you're looking for the best tone rings. Buy Burlisle tone rings, the best tone rings out there. If you can find them, good luck, kids.
Come on down to Tone Ring City.
Come on down to Tone Ring City.
Tell them Mike Bont sent you.
Hey.
So the resonator, is that a typical? Are you familiar with like how top tension resonators?
Yeah, it's a flat back resonator.
Okay.
Or
internal
flat,
back, right? And it's solid.
It's solid, yes.
This is actually something that's been going through my mind quite a bit lately. Have you done experimenting of top tension resonators versus?
Okay, no. But what Rock experiments with is he raises the resonator out of the pot a little bit.
So he has spacers on the screws.
Increases the space a little bit, so it makes a bigger space for the air to flow.
Yeah,
and so in those top tension ones, because where the rim sits so close to the resonator, if you increase that space by a little bit, you've increased the volume drastically.
They actually sell devices. I forget what they're called. They go on your lug screws of the resonator, and you can actually make adjustments of how deep it sets.
Yeah. Like that's a real thing. That makes a huge difference in how your banjo sounds.
Wow, I should mess around with
projection especially. I mean, this banjo sounds. You don't need to do anything to this thing except maybe sell it to me.
But you know how it is. You're always tinkering around,
right?
But no, that one has been as is for a long time. I am happy.
And I remember this thing. This one always sounds. I've always loved the way this banjo sounds.
Thanks.
That's why I forgot mine because I wanted you to bring this. So I wanted to play it. And I love the inlay job on this thing is really sweet too, man. This whole thing is lovely, so lovely. Anyways,
I appreciate that.
So yeah, so it has the Jim Bordelot tone ring. It has the vintage Gibson top tension parts, hand engraved, gold plated, and then we actually have a more vintage style Remo head on it. So it's like this. So like, are you familiar with the older?
They're thicker, right?
The thicker coated banjo heads.
Yeah.
They're harder to get. That's the real key too. So both my banjo, both my Robinson and the Deco. I call it the Deco. That's the Bartley, but I call it the Deco.
Goldie Hawn,
Deco, the Deco, Bartley. So they both have it has the thicker coating on the head makes a really big difference to how the sound.
That's why I get that
Huber
head.
And this Huber head has that similar kind of feel to it. Yeah, it's got the thicker coating on it.
Exactly.
But the Remo ones are harder to find. That's the thing about it. They don't make them anymore.
That's all you want. You just want the hard to find.
Well, no, it's not me. It's Rock.
Okay.
He's the one that has to. He's like, here, Bob, you should have this. I'm like, yeah, you should just sell me some of that Remo rim, dude.
Nice. So what do you got going for bridges, tailpieces? Is that something you've messed around with?
I forget tailpiece. I love the Price straight poles. Always been a fan. Yes. All my banjos have the Price straight poles. There's not an easier, better upgrade you can do to any banjo to make it sound better than put a Price straight pole on. I've always been a big subscriber to that.
As am I.
And then the banjo, then the bridge is, God, I can't remember the guy's name. It's a really weird, small maker type dude.
Okay.
On the Deco at least, I can't remember what's on the Robinson right now. I think it's what's on the other. Anyways, we'll get to the other one.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, the one it's like a one of a kind kind of bridge. Like it's like that whole banjo is like a weird anomaly of like put together parts and like the coolest,
so great,
the coolest way. You know,
yeah, it's the most custom thing you can get.
It's like it's the only one like that. You know, and that's what I like. Like I've always been a big fan of. You know, like I've played the 20,000 banjos that sound like poop, and to have this banjo that's I didn't pay that much for it, but I paid a lot for it. But to have a banjo that just sounds and have a feel like one of
you're happy with,
yeah, I'm really happy with one of Rock's biggest things is he is I feel like he's one of the best setup guys in the country. Like if you're a banjo player and you want your banjo set up good, like he is the guy to set your banjo up. And
he's a great dude.
And he's a great dude, and he's a really good picker. And he also, his neck shape, the way he sculpts the neck, too. His neck shapes are really, really, he's getting to this point where, like, I hang out with him kind of every once in a while because he's the guy that does all my setups, and we kind of hang out. And
yeah.
I usually buy an instrument from him every once in a while. Like that.
We found you that D18.
Like that D18. Right. Yeah, exactly. And he's the guy, like he's just the banjo player.
He really is. He has such a love for
Pandolfi loves him. If you guys know who Chris Pandolfi is, like Chris and I talk about how awesome Rock is all the time.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's getting known out there because he deserves it. He has such enthusiasm for everything he does.
And he actually he's becoming a really awesome builder, and but he's like a predominant awesome setup guy. Like,
wow, that's amazing.
From a professional banjo player's standpoint, the fact that my setup guy lives 10 minutes from my house couldn't be happier.
Yeah, so cool. and had a big part in building your banjo too.
Yeah. And he always has something like, check this out.
Yeah.
I'm like, God dang it, Rock. Now I have to buy this and go home with it.
Is that palm muting?
Yeah, it's palm muting.
Right hand.
Yeah. It's actually palm muting on a banjo. Yeah. I mean, right? I mean,
yeah, it's great.
It's cool. It sounds cool. I mean, that's another one of.
It's physically difficult for me. I find myself wanting to do it a lot.
Okay,
but
so the trick is you can only use it on the bottom two strings.
Yeah. If it's too high up there, it just kind of doesn't work. It's kind of better on the wound string anyway.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's another instrument trick right there.
So hey, before you were ranting about your finger picks, and I kind of told you to wait and save it for the podcast. So why don't you tell us about your finger picks and your strong opinions about said finger picks?
My strong opinions about said finger picks. Okay, so I've been playing with the same pair of metal finger picks for the last 10 years.
That's amazing.
They are Sammy Sheeler cobalt plated, like the nickel cobalt plated finger picks of the vintage design.
Right.
And the difference is they still make them, but the newer ones they make out of a thinner metal, so they're more pliable. But the better ones are the more vintage ones, which aren't nearly as pliable, and they are a lot thicker. And you just put them on, and you felt them. I mean, they are pretty thick.
It's difficult to bend. Yeah, you'd probably need to press it against a table or something like that to get it to bend. Now, are these the ones where I know they used to have one of them would have the S?
Yep, one does have the S on it, and also the one hole is smaller. There's finger holes on the bottom, and the index finger is smaller than the middle finger. So the hole's bigger.
But as far as that might be the same still. So the only way that you're aware of to tell the old Sammy Sheeler finger picks from the new one is just the stiffness
is
level.
The stiffness of them, because the new ones you'll be able to bend really easy, but the older ones you won't. They are hard to bend.
Right,
it's hard to get them into
difficult.
shape. Yeah.
I should say that even though a pair of those, what do they go for, $30?
$35,
which is kind of, it's pretty sticker shocky for
a pair of metal finger picks.
2 stinking finger picks. But if you are anything like Mike Bont here and you keep them for 10 years, what's $30 over 10 years?
Well, and it's the way that they sound on the strings too. There's they don't make a lot that something about this cobalt plating or the cobalt of the pick. It's the cobalt of the pick itself. The friction isn't as much.
Right.
That was the whole thing behind them. But I do believe that's actually you can feel. I feel a difference when I play easy bendable national type picks.
No, the last guest on the podcast, Davey Jones, we got into talking about this. I use cobalt plated picks too, but it's not the Sheelers. It's a cobalt plated Showcase 1941s. And there's something.
That sounds fancy.
They are pretty fancy,
oh.
but the point being that the cobalt apparently has less friction.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I like the way the backs on these are your split backs. Is there 2 prongs, or are they solid like that, like a big fat solid back that?
It's like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have to. I bend mine, and the backs I bend the part that's closer to your finger. I actually bend them up a little bit so they don't dig into your finger as much.
Oh yeah, I see. So it's more.
Let me see those things.
It doesn't wrap around as much.
This is the ones I'm looking at.
Right.
See, that's what I'm talking about. See, these have these national look. They see how much fatter the base is. Mm-hmm. Here, let me show you this. I'll give you one of my Sheelers here. You see how fat the base of that Sheeler is compared to that 1941.
Yeah. Yeah. The band is about.
And see how much longer it is too.
Yeah, it's probably another 25% wider.
And the crazy thing about it is that in 10 years that hasn't worn down at all. It's amazing how durable they actually really are.
Yeah, and the other thing with your Sheelers that I'm noticing is that the blade is cupped a little bit.
Yes.
So it kind of hugs the pad of your finger, I guess is what you would call it.
It kind of hugs a little. Yeah, I love the way they feel. You can wear them forever, and they really have a good sound to them too. But I also play super heavy strings though too.
Right, you use 11s. You said right.
I use 11s. Yes. With phosphor bronze wound 4-string.
You just like the sound of that better, or what's going on?
The sound of it, yeah, it's got a darker, woodier. I've always liked the way they sound. I mean. Yeah, you don't have it on yours, but
no. And same thing with using the 11s, which is kind of on the heavier side for what most banjo players use. You prefer the thicker sound that gives you?
Yeah, well, it's mainly because I pick the banjo so hard. One of the secrets is that if you can pick it super hard and super quiet and pick everywhere in between, that's called playing dynamic. which is my my biggest second biggest secret is for what I'm doing when I'm playing.
It's one of those secrets to good music.
It's one of those things where it's like it's like.
Yeah, see, folks, the banjo doesn't have to just be loud and obnoxious all the time. It can be quiet and obnoxious too.
And
yeah,
lovely and beautiful.
Excellent. No, that's a wonderful tip. What about your? So we already talked about like your backup techniques for the 15-minute dobro solos and all that stuff. What about your lead techniques? What kind of tricks do you have up your sleeve, or what do you consider to be sort of the hallmarks of playing like Mike Bont from a soloing perspective? Do you have any approaches that you feel are kind of yours?
There's a couple things that I kind of do. It's I think the first trick that I use a lot is what I call the Angus Young AC/DC Thunderstruck trick.
Oh, like the open string. So I can see what you're doing, but kind of describe for people how you do that.
So what I'm doing, I'm basically playing like as a forward roll, but every time I hit the D string, the high D string, whatever note that I'm fretting. So if I'm fretting in like a G scale, I'm saying. So you just take that G scale and you go. It's kind of like that's kind of, oh yeah.
Yeah, so you actually really only need
I'm basically
two
doing
fingers.
Like the two fingers. I'm basically just using my middle finger and my thumb on the high G string and
the outside strings, right?
And you can kind of vary where you do the pull off on that note on the D string. It's all like whatever rhythm you want to do. Basically, that's
whether it's on the upbeat or the downbeat.
All right. Exactly. It's basically that same kind of feel, kind of really. I mean,
using the open string as an additional drone.
Then you can add then you can kind of like. What I do a lot is I'll do like that open drone technique and then just kind of slide into some kind of where I do like the diatonic double stop within like whatever the chord
so it's just a high G chord.
High G.
Right.
Or whatever. Or you can do like the mid G chord. It's how you want to do the voicing is up to you wherever you stop. Because you can go. Or. You can depends where voicing you want to choose.
Yeah, and what chord you need to land on, depending on the song.
Depending on the song, whatever the melody is, yeah.
No, I feel like I've also seen you do that same sort of thing, but add on some fingering for the fifth string. Is that something that you do? I feel like I've seen you do that.
Not so much with that lick, but
maybe not with that
what
exactly.
I do a lot of like the. Or I do a.
So tell us how you do that. What's
so
like what would be a really useful common version of that?
It's like a. I call it the beta lick. It's a lick that Bale uses all the time, and it's actually in the homespun series that he does. It's one of the exercises he talks about where like he does like it's like you're basically doing an arpeggio, but like so you're rolling you're rolling a G chord. So like in like what I refer to as like the 7th position or the 9th position or the whatever, like the middle position of the banjo, but at the 9th, where like between 7 and 9, that position where like you're
that D shape kind of thing.
D shape, yes. And you're starting out with the sympathetic 5th string and then going 3, 4, 1, 2, boom, 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 boom. Let's get 1 open, 3, 4, right? That's if we're doing it 4, right? Yeah. Open 3, 4, and then we do. Then this is where the thumb comes in, where like that's when you hit the 7th on the sympathetic G, the high G.
Okay, right.
And then
which would be an A note.
An A note, and then that's when you add the high D string in at the 9th fret and add that high G. And then you just rock back down with a boom, boom, da, boom, da, boom, da, boom.
Yeah, that's cool.
And you can do that same thing with a C form. You go up and you basically do like you're gonna do like a regular C form, but you don't add like your index finger on the low D string, and you just and then you use your thumb on what would be the ninth fret on the sympathetic G string. And that pattern so whatever chord you're doing, that's kind of like the pattern that you.
Yeah, it's a good way to be really melodic without having to move your hand too much.
You're playing the 6th with your thumb, basically.
Do you always use your thumb on the 5th string?
For this exercise, yeah, you kind of have to wait the chords roll.
Yeah,
I say you decide to hop. I mean, so how do you play that lick? Do you play it the same way, or do you use like you go? So you can't do that lick. It's like there's the
You can do it with your other finger, but you kind of have to set up for it. You know what I mean? Like you can't just fall into it as easily.
That's never felt natural to me. To do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't even know that I've ever thought about it too much. I think sometimes I probably do one, sometimes I do the other. It kind of just depends on how your hand
it depends on where
goes
your hand
into
ends up. See, because I use the same, but when the roll's different. So if I'm using my thumb there, but if I go.
Right.
Yeah, the chain is like, am I supposed to go?
Yeah, and this is actually very similar to a lot of your backup stuff that you were showing us.
Yeah.
You were down the neck a bit, but it's a lot of just using these diatonic chords to make these new box positions.
Chord-related stuff, yeah, and that's all like related. A lot related, just like the direct melody of a song, really. And it's really been like one of those like big charging melody guys, where the melody's like something melody. Then you can kind of take it out from there, like.
all sorts of tricks.
There you go.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, right?
Yeah, I usually do it the other way. I'll push on the head so it goes down.
Yeah, but that's how you go up, though. You
Yeah,
push up on the other side of the bridge, dude.
Now I know.
Now you know.
Let's do some more internet questions. Are you ready for a non-banjo question from the internet?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's see.
What's my golf handicap?
That is remarkably close.
Is it close?
I will say.
Is it close?
Holy cow. No, from Twitter. T.E. McCullough says, what's your favorite golf course?
Oh, yeah. Palmetto Golf Club.
Where's that?
Aiken, South Carolina.
Okay. Wow, you were very confident with that. I thought you'd have to think about it, but that's a no-brainer.
I think it's a loaded question.
Really?
Yeah, I think it is.
Why?
Well, because the guy that asked the question is a member at Palmetto Golf Club in South Carolina.
Oh. So I'm the one being punked here. You guys know each other.
We do know each other.
Okay. I don't know anything about golf, so I'm not going to be
Sage Valley. Actually, Sage Valley is my favorite golf course.
And where's that one?
It's in just outside of Aiken, South Carolina. It's
okay. Same area.
Same area.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not doing good but Sage. I played it one time. It was amazing.
You're a big golfer?
Big golfer.
Okay. I know nothing, but I've never been golfing. More questions from the internet. This is from a Reddit user named Banjos Are for Lovers. Banjos Are for Lovers wants to know what tricks you have planned for Camp Greensky. Are there any tricks that you have planned?
There's
got to be something.
I mean, if I'm going to tell you my tricks, then it's not a trick.
It can still be a trick. It just won't be a surprise.
So I'm going to tell you my secret, and then it's still going to be a trick? That doesn't make sense to me.
It can be a surprise.
I don't believe it.
So there are tricks and surprises and secrets? Is that what you're saying?
There are secrets.
Okay.
Secrets. There are many secrets.
Well, he'll have to be happy with that.
He'll have to be happy with secrets.
And he also says, go back to the UP. Not as in, like, you go back there, but Greensky, please go play
come
in
back
the UP.
to the UP. Yeah.
Apparently a bunch of Upers.
Oh, dude. Yeah, the Hancock Theater show.
What city is that? Is that like Marquette or something?
It's like Marquette. Yeah, I think it was like the Hancock Theater.
And I should remember...
That show was legendary. It was like one of the most lawless shows I think we've ever played.
Upers are a lawless bunch. Now for
it was apparently it was like bring your own fifth night at the Hancock Theater. That's what it was. I think it was like bring your own fifth. It's cool, and bring a case with you too, for it to chase it.
It's a different breed. I wanted to ask what are the difficulties with the size of performance that you guys put on? Like you must have wrestled a lot with just the sound reproduction and the acoustics of everything. Like you guys are putting on huge shows with acoustic instruments, and it sort of just ain't natural. It takes some problem solving, some finessing. Like what's your amplified setup? You have pickups going or microphones or both?
I rock both a internal microphone and a pickup setup. I use a Neckville acoustic harness with EMG in conjunction with EMG. It's a dual pickup system that has a piezo element as well as a humbucker, and you can blend the two, and there's a tone knob for each element.
Okay.
And then I use a DPA. God, I can't remember. It's
the 4099 probably.
4099. Yeah, that's what I use. Yeah,
and that's inside.
Internally, yes. But the real secret is my pedal board is I shouldn't be telling this. This is like really like secret sensitive stuff.
Yeah, it's proprietary information here.
I mean, how much? I mean, do you want to sound like me? I mean, who wants this? I mean, if you want to have like amazing like acoustic like raging banjo tone, I guess. I mean, if that's what you're into.
I mean, we won't know if you're lying. It'll kind of be like the old Eddie Van Halen stuff, giving away fake secrets.
Yeah, I turn my back.
Yeah,
and then I use a Firefly preamp through the DI channel, And then I use for the microphone channel, I use a preamp, which I cannot remember the name of. And the secret is I have it on a phaser, not like a phaser, like a
yeah, not the
but like a phase, but like having like a musical switch that like a phase for like on like a board. So like my DI and the microphone are in phase with each other, and that's what makes the difference.
Wow. Okay.
Is because of where they are placed in the instrument, the DI is here and the microphone's here. They're not in phase with each other. And the only way to put them in phase with each other is because you can phase the microphone. So we phase the microphone channel to be in phase with the DI.
Yeah.
And that's
once you have, and as long as you have them all in the same place every night and use the same settings for your phase control.
It changes sometimes depending on the room. The phase does change every once in a while, but it doesn't change too often. Or it'll change with like seasonal changes with like my banjo head, when the banjo head slacks a little bit, or gets a little tight in the winter, or a new set of strings, or just like I know it's been, or like I'm just a new tour or whatever. And sometimes
something has changed.
Sometimes things has changed. There's environmental changes one way or another.
Well, and that's the kooky thing with microphones and everything. It only takes.
Or the placement in the microphone. I've been on an airplane and I set my face down.
It only needs to move like an inch and it's all messed up.
A little bit, yeah. It points a different way. I mean, there's all little environmental factors that change all that.
And you guys are all on in-ear monitors and have been for like many years now.
Yes.
Explain the difference that has made.
It makes a huge difference. I mean, it cuts out the acoustic feedback on stage 100%, and you can 100% hear yourself and your bandmates, which, if that's what you're into, that's really important if you're playing live music, in my opinion.
So, yeah,
and it saves your ears in the long run, too, because you're not listening to blaring wedges all night long for a mix. It really helps your longevity, I feel like, too, because we're not listening to, huge volumes of acoustic music that probably will be feeding back if we're listening to it through a
which makes everything just worse.
Yes.
Do you feel as though there are downsides to that? Do you ever feel isolated from the audience or from your bandmates and unable to communicate as well?
No, we have a set of microphones that's upstage that we use to communicate with each other.
You just go back there and say something into it if you need to say something.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Or if you need to change in like your mix or anything too, it's like the same channel that the monitor engineer has too.
Oh, okay. Anything else we feel like chatting about banjo-related style?
No, I mean, all I got is my Danny Gatlick. That's all I got left.
Yeah, show us that.
Danny Gatlick works really good. It works out good on deep position. Obviously.
For an obvious reason, that you have the open D string. So yeah, basically what he's doing is he's got his thumb pick on the low D string.
I'm just rolling with my thumb pick on my D string, and then just doing the diatonic chord positions that we just talked about all night long.
Same thing, yeah.
This is actually like a direct ripoff from a Telecaster lick.
Yeah,
but as I love playing guitar and I love playing like the country guitar stuff, So that was one of those licks where like I like learned it. And I was like,
it's a good way to learn the fingerboard too.
Yeah,
is all those
harmonized positions. Yeah, it really, really, really is. Like you can really feel where the chords set, and it really helps you develop of when the chords change, where the other positions are at on the fretboard. It really does.
Exactly. Well, hey man, thank you so much for giving us all this advice, letting us in on your deep, dark Greensky bluegrass secrets and everything like that. If everyone wants to find you on the internet, where do they do that? What are the websites?
We are at greenskybluegrass.com, and I'm on Facebook at Bontzilla. or not Facebook, but Instagram. Instagram on Bontzilla. Instagram on Bontzilla.
Just Google Bontzilla.
Google
something
Bontzilla,
will happen.
and something good will happen.
Any plans to do Michael Bont's solo album or Michael Bont spin-off side project?
No, we're talking about Duvall and I have been talking about doing a banjo bass like spa album where it's all like stuff like.
So like really
like
chill,
like still like stuff like that, like getting a massage, and there's like a ooh, so like the bass like
some droney stuff.
It's really just it's really just out there.
You guys should definitely do that.
It's the future, man. It's the future, but maybe not.
Have you ever gone floating in a float tank? You know this thing that's
like that was our vision for this album. Is actually floating in a float tank. Yes,
I just did that for the first time recently, and they had some new age music going, and it was whatever. It was cool and relaxing, but it would have been nice if it was
like banjo and bass. I mean, yeah,
that would have been even cooler.
It's like a custom mix. Like I prefer the band. Oh, there's a banjo mix. What? I didn't even know there was a banjo mix.
No one gave me the option.
No, I filled out the survey. I mean.
I'm going to give this place a very negative Yelp review. There was no banjo in the Float Lab.
Yes, there's no banjo.
So there you have it. Michael Bont coming to a concert venue or Float Lab near you.
Yeah!
Very nice. Over and out, folks. And that's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me for the conversation with Michael Arlen Bont of Greensky Bluegrass and for this episode of the Picky Fingers Banjo Podcast. As always, email me at pickyfingersbanjopodcast@gmail.com. I love hearing from you guys. Find me on all the social media, and please tune in to the future episodes of the Picky Fingers Banjo Podcast. I have some really exciting stuff lined up. I can't let too many cats out of too many bags here, but things that I'm excited about and that I know you'll enjoy. So please subscribe and let me know what you think. And until then, take care, and I hope to see you next time.